Hello, it's time to noontime prayer. I wrote the Adult Bible Study Guide of the fourth quarter of 2025, entitled Lessons of Faith from uh, Joshua. It has actually 13 lessons. Let me quick through the subtitle of lesson 1 through 13. Lesson 1, Recipe 4, Success 2, Surprised by Grace 3, Memorials of Grace 4, The conflict behind all conflicts 5, God fights for you 6, The enemy within 7, Ultimate loyalty, worship in a war zone 8, Giants of faith, Joshua and Caleb 9, Heirs of promises, prisoners of hope 10, the true Joshua 11, living in the land 12, God is faithful 13, choose the day. Today I gonna read lesson 9, first day of lesson 9, heirs of promises, prisoners of hope. Read for this week's study Genesis 3:17 through 24, Deuteronomy 6:3, Joshua 13:1 through 7, Hebrews 12:28, Leviticus 25:1 through 5, 8 through 13, and Ezekiel 37:14 and 25. Memory text comes from the book of Zechariah 9:12, and return to your stronghold, O prisoners of hope. Today I declare that I will restore to you double. Joshua 13 through 21 contains the long list of geographical boundary markers that delineate, delineate delineate portions of land allocated to the tribes of Israel. For the modern reader, this might seem irrelevant, but they are based on a theological understanding of the promised land that is significant for us today. Through these con- concrete, concrete lists, God wanted to teach the Israelites that the land was not a dream. It was promised to them in a very tangible, measurable way. But they had to make that promise a reality by acting on it. That is, yes, God was going to give land to them as an inheritance. It was going to be a gift made in fulfillment of what he promised their fathers. See, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give to them and their descendants after them. Deuteronomy 1:8. But yes, they too had their part to play. This week we will look at some theological concepts related to the promised land and their spiritual implications for those who claim all the promises found in Jesus. And Sunday, Eden and Canaan. Read Genesis 2:15 and Genesis 3:17 through 24. What were the consequences of the fall as far as the living space of the first human couple was concerned? Yet at creation, God placed Adam and Eve in a perfect environment that embodied abundance, that beauty. The first human couple met their creator in the setting of a lovely living space that could provide for all their physical needs. In addition to the spoken of the God, the Garden of Eden served as a learning center where Adam and Eve gained a significant insight into God's character and the life He intended for them. Therefore, when they broke the trusting relationship with their Creator, their relationship with the Garden of Eden changed as well. And as a sign of the broken relationship, they had to leave the garden. They lost the territory that God had given to them. Thus, the Garden of Eden became the symbol of abundant life, and we will rediscover its motifs in the theme of the promised land. How did the patriarchs perceive the promise of the land? See Genesis 13, 14 and 15, Genesis 26, 3 and 24, Genesis 28, 13. What do you think it means to us as Adventists to live as heirs of the promises? Hebrews 6, 11 through 15. As Abraham entered the land God had shown him by faith, that land became the land of promise to him and his descendants. It remained the land of promise for 400 years. The patriarchs did not really own the land. It was not theirs in such a way that they were able to give it to their children as an inheritance. Rather, it belonged to God as the Garden of Eden had belonged to him. As Adam and Eve did not do anything that entitled them to the Garden of Eden, Israel had not contributed anything to deserve the land either. The promised land was a gift of God based on his initiative. Israel had no inheritance right or claim to own the land. Deuteronomy 9, 4 through 6. It was only by God's grace that the Israelites could possess it. The patriarchs were heirs of the promises until they were fulfilled. We, as Christ's followers, have inherited even better promises. Hebrews 8:6 that will be fulfilled if we become imitators of those who through faith and patience inherit the promises. Hebrews 6:12. And there on Monday the land as gift. Read Exodus 3:8, Leviticus 20:22, Leviticus 25:23, Numbers 13:27, Deuteronomy 4:1 and 25 and 20 and 26, Deuteronomy 6:3 and Psalm 24:1. What was the special relationship between God, Israel, and the promised land? And in the light of 1 Peter 2:11 and Hebrews 11:9 through 13, what does it mean to you personally to live as a stranger and a sojourner looking forward to the city whose designer and the builder is God himself? And Tuesday, the challenge of the land. Read Joshua 13:1 through 7. Even though the land of Canaan was a gift from God, what were some of the challenges that came with possessing it? And how do Christians today encounter similar challenges to those related to occupying the promised land? See Philippians 2:12 and Hebrew 12:28. And Wednesday, the Jubilee. Read Leviticus 25:1 through 5, 8 through 13. What was the purpose of the sabbatical year and of the year of Jubilee? And how can the principles of the Israelite land allotment and the Sabbath remind us that in God's eyes we are all equal? How can the Sabbath help us to say no to the exploitative, vicious cycles of consumerism that plague many societies. And the Thursday, the land restored. Read Jeremiah 24:6, Jeremiah 31:16, Ezekiel 11:17, Ezekiel 28:25, and Ezekiel 37:14 and 25. What was the promise of God concerning the return of Israel to the promised land, and how was it fulfilled? And read John 14 1 through 3, and Titus 2:13, and Revelation 21 1 through 3. What ultimate hope is found for us here in this verse, and why does the death of Jesus guarantee us the fulfillment of this hope? And there are there are 4 discussion questions. The last part of the great controversy, page 675. In the Bible, the inheritance of the saved is called the country. Hebrews 11:14 to 16. There the heavenly shepherd leads his flock to fountains of living waters. The tree of life yields its fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree are for the service of the nations. There are ever-flowing streams, clear as crystal, and beside them waving trees cast their shadows upon the path prepared for the ransomed of the Lord. There are the wide-spreading plains swell into hills of beauty, and the mountains of God rear their lofty summits on those peaceful plains. Beside those living streams, God's people, so long pilgrims and wanderers, shall find a home. The Great Controversy, page 675. And there are number 1 discussion questions. Think about the promised land as a symbol of the abundant life that Christ promised to his followers in John 10:10. How do the benefits of living in an abundant land portray the blessings of salvation? Number 2, what is the relationship between being citizens of a land and living a certain lifestyle? How does one affect the other? What are some of the implications of being citizens of God's kingdom? And number 3, as humans, we are constantly disappointed by the promises of others, and sometimes by promises we make to ourselves. Why can you trust God's promises? 4, how can we make the promise of the new earth part of our future in a real and concrete way even now? Yeah, let's go to the prayer, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debtors, and lead us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. 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 Yeah, may God bless all of you. Let's go together. Not only this day, on this coming week. There's a Thanksgiving week. So please lead uh, for all the families. The happiness, and we have for sure the happiness in Jesus. Yeah. So peace in Jesus. May God bless all of you. Happy Thanksgiving week.